Good evening, and welcome to the Voice from the Baltic Star. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ben, and with me this evening is the wonderful Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hi, Ben. I'm very good, thanks. I'm very good. I'm excited. I've got a good feeling.
Well, yes. I mean, given that you now have a blue plaque on the wall behind you, which demonstrates how remarkably skilled we are at these games.
Yes, indeed, indeed. In homage to our one playthrough and one completion of I forget the title now. The Cretan Chronicles.
The Blood Feud of
Uh,
Alpheus. Yes.
there is indeed a blue plaque provided by the wonderful Sock Fibber.
It is a tremendous thing. A thing of absolute beauty is what it is.
Yeah, we don't talk about all the others that we've played and not got plaques for.
Well, they are frankly now forgotten and lost to the mists of time because we have achieved a success, and a success is a good thing. Right, so tonight we are playing Creature of Havoc. This is I think it was 1986 it was originally published. It is well, so far actually, I think it's one of my favourites, to be honest. It's been a very exciting journey so far, because I'm still not entirely clear if we are fighting a creature of havoc or we are in fact a creature of havoc ourselves.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It certainly feels as though we are. But who knows? Maybe the creature of havoc is the friends we make along the way.
Maybe it is, yes. Maybe it was that creature in the coffin, because this is in fact the second part of our journey, which does mean we can get underway very swiftly without needing to do those inconvenient things like roll any stats, which is a shame because re-rolling stats right now sounds like an excellent idea. Because just before we finished last time, we became cursed.
Yes, perhaps more curse, but we definitely have a curse at present.
Yes.
So we are down two skill and 2 stamina off of our maximum, I believe.
Yes. That is right. Yes, I think actually it might have been 3 stamina or even worse than that, because I'm really suffering on stamina. I have a maximum of 7 at the moment.
That is not good.
My skill of 9 is, well, not as bad as I've sometimes had just by natural rolling, but stamina of 7 is very, very poor. Yes, thankfully I can provision myself 9 times, but not once you get into combat, and since I'm at my maximum, it does pose a bit of a problem.
Yes.
So, having encountered an undead fiend of some kind that cursed us, we nonetheless have one other thing we have to bear in mind, which is, if we find any passage that begins, "you find yourself," then we can find a secret passage next to it, potentially. There might not be one, but there might be. And if the passage description begins, "you find yourself," then we add 20 to the number.
Yep.
And that could be a secret passage, or it might be gibberish, in which case it's not a secret passage, and our magical item that gave us the secret passage has led us astray. Okay.
So I've got a second one, Ben. I've got you cannot see a thing, or was that a one-time use?
That was the first one, and then when we did that one, which was the only secret passage we've so far done, it then said,
right. Oh, yes.
going forward, it'll be "you find yourself," and from now on, it's 20 added to the total rather than 20 subtracted, which it was for the first one.
Away. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
I don't know exactly why that is, but I suspect it's to discourage cheating. Not that you and I would ever cheat, but the original purchasers of these books may have thought it was more fun to try and shortcut it and do it in one, whereas we we know that the only true joy in doing it in one is if you do it the hard way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the way you earn blue plaques, you know.
It's very true. It's very true. So I hear.
That is the rumour. So, excellent. So we are currently stuck in this maze of a dungeon type place, and 293 is where we resume.
Yeah.
You leave the room through a door in the east wall. The door opens into a dingy corridor which is quite short and ends at a wooden door. When you listen at the door, you can hear conversation rising and falling in pitch, as if 2 or 3 creatures, or humans, were locked into a long discussion. This is your only way onwards. So we can try the door and attempt to creep slowly into the room, or charge at it and try to surprise whatever is inside.
I feel as though this very first decision is going to be the deciding factor as to whether we are, in fact, the Creature of Havoc.
Good point.
Because, if we are, there's an obvious...
That raises the problem because I don't actually know if we are the Creature of Havoc.
No, indeed. Perhaps that's the test, is to find out if you are indeed the Creature of Havoc. What do you think, Ben?
I'm tempted to say both of those, they both achieve the fundamental objective of getting through the door. And doors, as we know, are essential.
Yeah.
So, I know it's a cowardly thing to do, but I'm really tempted to roll a die and let it decide whether or not we are a Creature of Havoc.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Do you want to roll one?
I'm more than happy to let the dice make a decision.
To let the havoc that is the die decide. Because this could turn out to be a really short stream if one of these is a fatal choice. Because we're long past the point where individual choices can't just instantly kill you.
Yes, that's also very true. Okay, I'll roll. You pick which is which.
Okay, let's go. Odds will be creep slowly into the room.
That's a 4.
Okay, then we will charge into the room with claws drawn. We turn to 66. You fling open the door and rush into the room, snarling viciously, ready to take on the creatures you heard inside. But the scene within is not what you expect. Turn to 161.
Ooh.
Okay. The room is roughly circular, with doors in the north, south and west walls. Around the walls, in between the doors, are dark arches, a total of 6, which are large enough for you to enter. But from your position it's impossible to know how deep they are. The voices which you heard earlier have stopped, as if your entrance has surprised whoever or whatever was talking. There is no sign of any living creature in the room. You step into the centre and you're startled when the door slams shut behind you. So, we have to decide what to do. Do we leave the room through one of the doors, or stay to investigate the room further? Obviously the natural inclination is doors are important, but we're going to probably have to leave through a door anyway, aren't we?
Yeah. Voices and arches, is that what we're investigating?
Voices
the
and arches, yeah.
It's that thing that these books always do, Ben, when they tease you with something and then they want you to look at it, or you want to look at it, and so you look at it and then you end up dead.
You get cursed.
And by
something.
You, I mean us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, precisely. But we could be missing out on something really good.
We could. It's a horrible dilemma. Um, I'm so tempted to investigate the arches.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You happy with that?
Yeah, didn't take much persuading, but
Okay.
I am happy with that.
We will investigate the room further. Turn to 104.
Wonderful.
You glance from arch to arch, trying to decide whether to investigate them. The stillness is unnerving. Whatever happened to the voices you heard? As if in answer to your question, a sound drifts out of one of the arches. And it is in the weird Welsh.
Ah, perfect.
And then at a certain point, it changes to, what about this? Is that better? Ah, yes, I can tell you understand me. Look, I can help you. Maybe you would like me to direct you to a tasty morsel, 2 fat hobbits? Or shall I tell you about he who knows all your secrets? I speak, of course, of Zaradan Mar. Come, talk to me. You are stunned to silence by the voice speaking to you in your own tongue. It is inviting you towards one of the arches. Will you enter and speak to the being within, or are you suspicious of this strange voice? So we can enter the arch and talk to the owner of the voice, or leave. Well, I'm definitely suspicious of this strange voice.
But then doors are arches. I do also feel as though the book's giving us a couple of outs before it instantly kills us. Potentially.
This could be an "Are you sure?" moment. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
On the other hand, he who knows all your secrets, Zaradan Mar, is maybe someone we need to know about.
Yeah, and I kind of just want this voice to tell us how to translate our language into the other language that everything's written in that we can't read. And there's a number, is it 337 or something we can turn back to at any point.
That's right. Yeah.
And
yes,
that would be really handy because clearly they speak both languages.
I think we have to talk to them then, don't we? Because they may be able to give us a hint on how to read it.
Yeah.
Okay. And, we've had a good run. We did a whole episode before we got here. Okay. We will enter the arch and talk to the owner of the voice. 323. You are intrigued by the voice and find yourself strangely attracted to it. It guides you towards one of the central arches in the east wall. Come closer, so I may speak to you in private. No, not that arch, this one. That's right, have no fear. I will tell you of the all-knowing one, and tell you where you will find some juicy hobbits. Just a little further. It is so long since I've enjoyed company, and I do so love to find out what happens in the outside world. You pass through the arch and look around. When your eyes have adjusted to the light, you can see that you are standing in a short tunnel which ends several paces ahead in a dead end. There are no glowstones, but a glistening sheen covers the ceiling. At the end of the short passage is a shape which you can just make out. It appears to be a human sitting on the floor and leaning against the wall, a tattered cowl over its head. A leather flagon stands at its feet. Come closer, says the voice. My hearing is not good. Can I offer you a drink? Okay, so this is now saying, will you approach the figure or try a different arch?
I'm so paranoid.
Same
but
here.
also, I really want to know. See, this is why these books are meant to be played through more than once.
Yeah, they are.
Because you can throw caution to the wind the first few times.
Anything can kill you. Okay. I'm tempted to say we've come this far, but that doesn't mean this couldn't be completely the end.
Are they the only options it gives?
Yep.
Try a different arch or try
Approach the figure or try a different arch. I'm pretty sure. Yep, there's nothing over the page. Well, I mean, there is, but it's another paragraph.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it looks kind of human. So, maybe it's... Well, I was going to say maybe it's less potent than us in a fight, but that's obviously not necessarily true. It could be a magic user, or it could do all sorts of things. I've got some luck. That's helpful sometimes. This is just paranoia, isn't it?
It is. Let's just give it a go.
Let's give it a go.
Come
All
this
right.
far, Ben.
We will approach the figure. Turn to 439. 439. That is right. Yep, 439. You growl suspiciously and step closer to the figure. The spines on your back are bristling and every muscle is tense. You extend one arm just far enough to hook a claw under the ragged cowl and flick it aside. But beneath the cowl is not what you were expecting. The sight of the rotten head with its gaping eye sockets makes you stagger back in fright. An evil laugh resounds through the air, coming not from the figure, but from the glistening chatter matter hanging from the ceiling. Having snared you into its lair with its ability to speak many tongues, it now drops from its perch to cover you with its sticky web-like body. While you struggle in vain inside the living slime, it releases its deadly poison, which will paralyse you. As your struggles subside, the chatter matter begins to digest your tasty body. You will get no further.
Turns out it's not paranoia, Ben.
It's not paranoia.
No.
It's not paranoia if everything is out to get us.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it felt as though we were a little bit more clued up to what was going to happen to us. Like we've learned from the previous however many books we've played. We were just too inquisitive.
Yes. Well, that was not successful.
No. I do, however, feel it is still quite early.
It is. So, do you fancy... I mean, obviously it wouldn't count, but do you fancy trying a different escape from this room and having another go?
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
All
Have
right.
a little take backsy.
Yeah, why not? So, let's not enter the arch and talk to the owner of the voice.
Oh, but we might be missing out on something really good, Ben. Maybe we should.
Well, as I understand it, the question then is, because the alternative is turn to 405, which is leave the room, basically. But there was an option, wasn't there, if we go to 323 to investigate a different arch before we leave.
Yes, I believe it gave us several outs before we killed
It did
ourselves.
give us many opportunities to walk.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So what happens?
Yeah, there was a different arch, or there was just leave.
Or there was leaving. Okay, so if we try another arch, which is 220. Let's see what that says.
Yeah. The good news is, by the way, Luke isn't here to see us die, so that I'm aware of anyway.
Yes, that's very true.
Silver linings and all that.
Yeah, I mean, our utter crushing defeat and humiliation, to be fair, did come, you know, after a full session last time.
Yeah. Well, at least I would say we must be halfway through. Maybe. Anyway.
Okay, so 220 reads: You are suspicious of this mysterious figure. You back out of the arch and poke your head into the one next to it. This one is also dark, but from somewhere in the darkness you can see a faint glittering as if tiny raindrops are sparkling as they fall. You cautiously step in to investigate. You reach a pile of rubble lying on the ground. Stones are scattered about as if from a wall which has recently collapsed. You could easily cross the rubble and make for the twinkling lights. While you are considering whether or not to do so, a crash is followed by a shower of dust as a rock falls from the ceiling. Will you climb through regardless to investigate the glittering lights, or leave this alcove and try another? Well, it does say glittering lights as opposed to a glistening ceiling.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there are things like
Now,
magic items which are useful.
I mean, what are the chances that the two arches are both gonna instantly kill us?
Written by Steve Jackson, it says.
I mean, you'd think that one would be insta death, one would be like maybe a fight with a reward or something, and then the option of just leaving the room is just leaving the room and getting away unscathed. It's a nice, well
Yes.
balanced scenario we find ourselves in. However,
Yeah, absolutely. One of those, I'm sure. Shall we investigate the lights and maybe get crushed by falling rocks? Or killed by lights? Or whatever?
yeah, I think so. I mean, we've got nothing to lose, really, right? So
Absolutely. And we're already cursed in more ways than one. We will turn
yes,
to
precisely.
56 and see what happens. You climb through the hole in the wall and hold your breath as you step through the cloud of settling dust. The area is not much deeper, and when you reach its end you discover what the glittering is. From high in the ceiling a powdery trickle of elven dust is falling through the air. It drops gracefully down from the ceiling, glittering as it falls, but by the time it reaches the ground it has disappeared. The magical dust is showering you, and as you stand looking up at it, though you can feel nothing, elven dust is a magical powder which is an essential ingredient in white elven magic. Though its effects may remain a mystery to you in the immediate future, you may well wonder about the significance of your find. Someone has been trying to wall the elven dust in. Why? Eventually you decide to leave the recess and the chamber. Turn to 405. Okay. So possibly, we will be heading out. You may leave by one of the 3 doors leading from the room. We can go north, west, or south. Well, unless I'm missing my guess, west goes back where we came in, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
So north or south. I'm tempted to say north. Because I think we've now explored south relatively well.
Yeah. North is generally the direction we've been heading. North and
Yeah, we've sort of been
currently
zigzagging west and
east.
east while heading overall
Yeah.
north, yeah. Okay, so we will turn to 300, hopefully.
300.
That sounds like a lovely and completely safe number.
Don't they all?
The door opens into a narrow passageway heading north, and glowstones flick on to light your way. Unlike the other passageways you've been travelling along, this one has a cobbled floor. The cobblestones feel smooth and pleasant for your great feet to walk on, but you cannot ignore a feeling of apprehension since the stones must have been laid by an organised and intelligent creature. You follow the passage for a short while until suddenly a loud clang sounds behind you and stops you dead in your tracks. You wheel round to find that a heavy portcullis has dropped behind you and sealed off the passage. You step back to test it, but the bars are much too strong for you to smash or even bend. You have no choice. You turn around and continue north up the corridor. A little further ahead, you reach a crossroads. The glowstones light up 3 ways onwards, but you cannot see very far down the passages. We can continue northwards, try the passage to the east, or the passage to the west.
That's a lot of choice.
It is a lot of choice.
And I feel as though zigzagging is now out of the somewhat out of the question.
Well, we've certainly been cut off from the space behind us, but bear in mind that space behind us contained curses and instant deaths and things like that, so I can live with that.
Yeah. That works for me too. It certainly does.
Well, we could just press on north, but I'm tempted to see what's off to the sides as we go.
Yeah. So west or east?
Whichever you fancy.
Should we go east?
Let's try east. Why not? Turn to 50. That's another nice round number. That's very encouraging, isn't it? No bad things can happen on pages like these. It's great.
I will take your word for it, Ben.
The passage continues east, and you pass under 2 carved archways. Oh, God, archways. Before you finally find yourself in a small circular room with no apparent way onwards. While you're considering what to do, you feel a slight shift in the ground beneath your feet. Almost as if you'd pressed some invisible switch, your surroundings have now changed.
Oh,
Frantically, you look around to find the tunnel by which you entered, but it has disappeared. There is now no way out of the room. A rumbling noise from beneath the floor is followed by a fierce roaring. But this is not the roaring of a creature. Smoke seeps from the walls, and you begin to sweat as the temperature increases. The room is becoming an oven in which you are beginning to roast. As the temperature becomes unbearable, you search around for any means of escape. Are you wearing a pair of yellow metal bracelets?
Those ones that we didn't pick up.
Yeah, because it didn't give us the chance to pick up both. This is not the ones we went for. We are not wearing a pair of yellow metal bracelets.
No.
So we have to turn to 339, I'm afraid.
Sounds like a good number.
Yes, but I have a horrible feeling it's the end of our quest. Let's find out. You stagger round the walls of the room, desperately searching for a way out of the growing furnace, but it is hopeless. The air is now so hot that you cannot breathe without scorching your lungs. Consciousness fades before you are finally roasted in the tremendous heat of the furnace trap.
Wow. Thanks, Steve.
There are a lot of insta-deaths in this. I mean, a lot.
Well, we didn't come across any in the first session.
No. I mean,
And now within the space of 2 rooms, not very many decisions, we find ourselves dead twice, double dead.
so the question is, shall we try west instead of east?
Yeah, good choice, man. Uh, for anyone who tuned in between our 2 deaths and has only caught the
Yeah.
most recent one, we are continuing, but obviously it won't count as a
It won't
completion
count as a victory,
or
whatever
a win.
happens. But it was so quick. We died literally in the first room we walked into. So we've decided to explore a little further because actually I think this is a very, very good adventure. I'm very pleased with this one.
Yeah, it is really good. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of fun. And at this point, I'm wondering how many instant deaths we can
How
find.
many we can accrue.
I mean, it's a new challenge. Yeah, sure.
213.
Let's go west to 213.
Okay. So yes, that's actually a very good point because the most we've ever died before is once. Because the one occasion we died and then resumed, we actually made it all the way to the end alive.
Don't bring up that time, Ben.
I know.
It was like the second or third room when we died, and then we went all the way to the end.
I know.
After a do-over, it was painful.
That was awful. Yeah, not the kind of thing you get blue plaques for. That I'm afraid.
No, certainly not.
That was a shameful experience. But that means this is now a record-breaking book in that it has now killed us twice so far.
Yes, yeah.
You reach a dead end. The light is dim and it is difficult to see, so you grope around for a possible way onwards. There is none to be found. You turn around and return to the crossroads. Will you now continue north or east? I'm going to say north.
You sure?
Well, I mean...
Yeah, go on then, come on. Let's go north.
North is clearly the way to go. Yeah. I feel good about north. 443. This could, of course, literally be another death trap for all we know.
Oh, that would be terrible if there was a hole and we're trapped behind a portcullis. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
wouldn't that be awful? It would be effectively if you did choose that secret passage. From that point on, your days are just numbered. You follow the passage to the north until you reach a junction. To the left, you can see that the passage soon reaches a dead end, but on a ledge in the end wall is a large orb of clear stone. To the right, you can see that the passage disappears around a bend heading northwards. So if we turn left, there's a dead end, but there's a ledge with an orb. If we turn right, then it goes for a while and then bends north. I mean, an orb is a door, right?
At this point, Ben, yes. Yes, it is.
With us no longer having anything to lose.
Yeah.
Caution thrown to the wind.
Yeah, let's see what the orb is.
Okay. 155 is where we go for the orb. God. 155. You approach the orb. Its perch is only slightly above your head. And when you reach up to take it in, your hands, but as your fingers close around it, you suddenly leap away. Although its appearance gives no warning, it feels red hot to the touch. Lose 1 stamina point. Okay, that's not as bad as it could have been.
No. I am going to take this opportunity, though, if we have it, to eat a provision.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Wonderful, and go back up to 12.
Then a shape begins to form in the crystal. Moments later, a shriveled, death-like human face within the orb opens its eyes and glares at you. Its mouth begins to speak and an eerie voice booms out along the corridor. And it is in, the Welsh kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What will you do now? Do you wish to wait and see what the face in the orb does next? Or leave and either take the other branch of this passage, or return to the crossroads and go west or east? No, not returning to the crossroads. The crossroads is a bad crossroads. It's not just cross, it's livid, frankly, that crossroads. Okay, so we can wait or take the other branch, the right-hand branch.
It's a tough decision, Ben.
So far, we've been fairly roundly punished for sticking around in places, haven't we?
Yeah.
But
I'm thinking eventually you've got to be rewarded for doing so, right? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're probably right. Let's wait to see what the face in the orb does next. I mean, it'll probably just kill us, you understand?
Well, yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, it'll kill us again.
Yes, turn to 428. The face swirls within the murky mist inside the orb, and you watch to see what will happen next. Gradually, the face reforms, but this time it looks larger than before, and the sightless eyes begin to glow red like hot coals. Suddenly, a small fireball shoots from one eye straight towards you. You jump to avoid it, but it catches your leg below the knee and makes you howl in pain. The second eye releases its fireball, and this one hits you on your arm just above the elbow. Lose 4 stamina points for these injuries. Oh, God.
Wow.
Okie dokie. Leave quickly by turning to 81. Yeah, we will leave quickly turning to 81.
Yeah, let's just do that, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. 81 it is. The right-hand branch of the passageway. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a provision as we walk.
Yeah, I might do the same and go down to 7, seeing as I just took 4.
Because I was actually at 2.
Wow.
Well, my peak at the moment is 7. So when I took the 1, I thought, no, it's not worth it. And then I took 4. "81. The passage turns to the left and you follow it for some time until you feel that perhaps this corridor has no end. Eventually, you see a particularly dark area straight ahead. Will you investigate, or would you rather turn around and go back?"
Oh.
Well, we can't go. There's nowhere to go back.
Yeah, where are we gonna? Well, what are we gonna do?
We've literally tried every possible route, haven't we?
Yeah, so far.
So we
Unless
have
there
to
were
investigate.
There haven't been any you find yourself.
There haven't.
No.
Oh, we have to investigate the area. Turn to 20.
Yeah.
If this is it, then this is it, I'm afraid.
That's true. There's no more options.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. I am T. Hello.
Hey, I am T. Thank you very much, Angie Pops, for the subscription. Hey, some old pirate. You find us in a rather sticky situation. We appear to be trapped. We have died twice. There is no way out of this little wing of the dungeon
Yeah,
that we have yet
it's
found.
pretty brutal. It's called Creature of Havoc, and it's actually one of the best ones that we've done, I think. But it's fairly brutal. But thank you very much for joining us.
And I hope Pop Cthulhu was good.
That's what they were playing tonight. Yes, it looked like a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
fun. I
yeah.
didn't have a chance to stop in for very long tonight.
It always does. It always looks so much fun.
They had a
And
really
such a cool
impressive
setting.
looking multi-armed, heavily clawed monster as one of the graphics, and I was thinking
Ooh.
that looks exactly like someone I went to school with. It was the gaping maw with all the teeth. It was like, yeah, I recognise that guy. Yeah, it was a really nice graphic actually.
Nice.
I don't know how the players felt about it. You understand?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Right. Yes. Well, you find yourself at a dead end. Yes.
Do
There is
we?
no
Do
way
we
through.
really?
You will have to retrace your steps, turn to 279. So it all comes down to this. If this turns out to be a bluff and there's nothing at 40, we're done.
Luckily, INT, we have a, what is it? A dull blue pendant that glows when we're near a secret passage. So if the paragraph begins with you find yourself, we can add 20 to the number and potentially find a secret passage.
Potentially. Yes.
Maybe.
So, as you are about to turn to leave the dead end, so this is 40 effectively.
Mm-hmm.
As you are about to turn to leave the dead end, the pendant around your neck suddenly starts to vibrate. Remembering what happened last time this occurred, yes, we got cursed and then killed twice by inescapable trap things. That's what
Yeah,
happened
that's
last
true.
time.
Yeah.
You hold the talisman out towards the rock face. A low humming comes from the charm and its vibrating becomes more pronounced. Eventually, the blue stone set in its centre begins to glow, and a narrow beam of blue light illuminates a small catch in the rock. You release the catch, and the rocky door rumbles aside to reveal a small room ahead in the rock. In the room is a long wooden box on a sturdy table. Around the room are a variety of objects, plates, candlesticks, and many other artifacts arranged on shelves and smaller tables. Leaning against the central table are two skeletons. One looks human, but the other looks decidedly non-human, having the jaws of some sort of creature of chaos. A musty smell comes from the room. It no doubt has not been visited for some time. It says we can venture inside or ignore the room and leave the area. Well, I mean, to put it simply, leaving the area is not a functional option, is it? Because,
No. We have dead end, fiery death oven,
yeah,
or glowing orb which we can't attack but keeps dealing damage to us.
yeah. So basically, it is either going to, we can point with absolute futility at the crossroads at the portcullis, or we can choose which way we die.
Yeah.
Not that the ways are
So look,
particularly varied. It's either burn to death in oven or burn to death thanks to fireballs.
yeah, seems more slowly and drawn out. But I agree, Ben. We should investigate the room.
Let's investigate the room. We will
Yeah,
venture
yeah, yeah, good
inside.
choice.
We will turn to 296.
296. Got a good feeling about 296.
Okay. You step inside the room and look around. All sorts of carefully collected objects of value are in the room, and you pick some of these up to look more closely at them. Then the door slides shut with a rumble and leaves you in complete blackness. Relying on your talisman, you shuffle across the area of the door and hold it towards the wall, but this time there is no reaction, no vibration, no blue light. There is equally little reaction from the other walls. It soon dawns on you why two long-dead skeletons were leaning against the table. There is no escape from the tomb you are now in. the next unwitting visitor will find 3 skeletons in the room.
Oh, wow.
Steve, my man.
So at some point when we didn't turn north, way, way back before this river, I'm assuming.
Something like that. Everything after that was
It
just
was pointless.
instant.
Not pointless.
It was
It was a fun
death.
story. But yeah, we were always going to die. And in fact, we died 3 times. A record
That is
here
an
on the Baltic
absolute
Star.
record. The most we've ever died is once. In fact, we almost always die once. We have on one
Yes.
occasion died not at all. Other than that, we've died once every time, except this one. This is a completely unique experience for us. We've died 3 times through a complete stubborn unwillingness to accept that we should die through insta-death, despite the fact that we were cursed and what have you. So
Mm-hmm.
here's my question. The secret passage detecting amulet was bad, right?
I think we used it 3 times. One time it led to a secret room and this path.
Mm-hmm.
The second time it led to a curse. And the third time it led to this room which trapped us in it, and now we're dead.
Yeah, I think that's right. So this,
So yeah, it's pretty bad.
okay.
In my opinion.
Now, there must be, logically, and I'm sort of reading between the lines here a bit. Okay, so I just checked out what happens if you do have the yellow metal bracelets, right?
Yes.
And what happens is, for whatever reason, they stop the oven trap, and then you can leave the oven trap. But the solution to that doesn't get you anywhere. There's no other
Except the
way out or anything.
crossroads. Yeah.
But I don't think you, unless there's another way into this area, which there might well be, maybe if you come up from the south or something. But
Mm.
it's quite hard to get here with the yellow metal bracelets, isn't it? Because you don't have access to the secret passage that led us to instant death.
Yeah. So it must be the south road up to the arches.
Yeah, because otherwise you simply wouldn't be able to. There wouldn't be a way of getting into this area of doom.
Yeah.
This is an absolutely brutal area.
And I don't think we've ever come across an area before that you can't get out of. Unless, of course, there is a way with the orb where you just stick around and take enough of a beating and then eventually something different happens.
Well, yeah, except it said
It's
you
the only
hurriedly
other
leave
option.
and turned us to another page.
Oh, yeah, it did. It
So it didn't give us
automatically.
an option there. I My guess is that maybe if we'd picked south rather than north out of the chamber with the arches,
Yeah.
or maybe even retraced our steps west out of there, it might have been the right, the right call, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah. You've just got to assume that one of the ways over here to the north leads us up somewhere, and this is a completely dead section of map,
yeah,
potentially. At least the way we went about it, it was.
I don't know. Obviously there are ways through this.
Just not this way.
This, it turns out, is not the way. This was a bad way.
It's just not the way. Uh,
Okay. Well, first of all, weirdly, despite the fact that this absolutely brutalised us, repeatedly murdered us, I still think this was one of the more interesting ones we've played.
Definitely. I'm gonna check it out. Actually, I'm gonna have a look on and see if it's available online somewhere. If not, in print for the book, because mostly just because the code intrigues me.
Yes, I'm quite interested in that now, actually. I might see if I can... I might see if I can actually make it make sense to me, because logically, what was the number? 337. The
But
thing.
it came up a lot, like in things other creatures were saying or people were saying that we would have been able to read or understand. I'm sure there was something else. Was there some writing somewhere else on a wall or something?
Yes,
And
and
then,
there were I mean, also lots of things that people said and spoke
yeah,
about. I mean, I get the very strong feeling that what this is effectively human speech, but because of what we are, we don't understand it.
yes, yeah, that makes sense.
Now, the other thing about this one is, if you remember, it had a really, really long introduction,
Mm,
like 35 pages of introduction.
yes.
So, I'm just sort of leafing through this to see if anything is going to leap out at me that, if we'd read it, we'd have thought, aha, that would have been a very useful clue to avoiding instant death.
Yeah, again, for anyone who is here now that wasn't here in the first one, Ben didn't read it because it's 35 pages long and it would have taken a while.
Yeah. And it
So
did
we went
say
into
that it
this
might
one
contain
blind.
useful clues, but it also might contain things that would mislead you. So I was sort of
Yes, yeah.
left with the inevitable problem that I didn't know which would be which under the circumstances.
Yeah.
And now, of course, it becomes obvious there are certain things we should have known about. But yeah, there's nothing so far that's leaping out at me. Admittedly, I'm only scanning it, but there's nothing that seems obvious that would make you go, aha, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
It seems to be sort of like folk tales and history for the most part.
Luke, welcome. You'll be pleased to know we are indeed dead. Yes. However, you missed all three occasions that we died on in this one. The first one came rather quickly, so we decided to go on, and then the second one came quite quickly after that one, and then we found ourselves in a dead end, with no way out of this section of the dungeon, and died a third time.
Yes, I mean, yeah, the third death. I mean, initially I was thinking that the way to describe the third death is simply
Situational.
that we ran out of options, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
true. But I think more importantly, it was also kind of a trap.
Yes, yeah, most definitely.
I'm impressed that somebody actually created a trap that you needed to have a special magical item in order to find the way into.
Yeah. Yeah, my advice for this one would be to not pick the dull blue pendant
Yeah.
that tells you where secret doors are, because I don't think we got any good use out of it.
No. Even the very first time we used it, I'm pretty sure it just led us to the vampire, zombie, coffin, undead thing, lich, or whatever it was that cursed us.
Yeah,
Yeah. And to be fair, there is theoretically a fighting chance that someone will blunder into us before we run out of provisions. I still have 8 of them.
Yeah, that's true. I have 7.
The slight problem is that unless they move that portcullis,
Mm.
there's no way out, even if someone finds us
Yeah, we're still trapped in this
in
small
this section.
section.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the oven trap, the what was it called, a chatter matter in the alcove, and the and the fireball dispensing orb that is, yeah. You would be amazed as you flick through this. There are an awful lot of paragraphs that don't have numbers at the end of them, that just end.
Oh. Oh, so maybe we did okay then.
There seem to be an awful lot of dead ends in this, yeah. Amazing how many there are. So there seem to be a lot of ways to die in this. Yes, Luke, we did absolutely try our best. We and remember, this was session 2 of the adventure. So while it's not entirely fair to say that we were even remotely successful, I certainly wouldn't put that spin on it. It is nonetheless at least a little bit true, at least just a bit, that we were theoretically on, several hours in, shall we say, before we actually found the bucket and firmly kicked it. But boy, did we kick it! I mean, in the space of probably about 20 minutes of gameplay, we died 3 times, and they were all bad deaths. They were all horrible deaths.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the first gave us an out or 2.
Yeah,
But after that, the others were just sort of like, make this decision and you will die.
yeah, yeah. That's what they
Go,
were.
go east at the crossroads, you're dead. Use the secret door that you found with your really cool magical item, you're dead.
You're dead. Yes, and choose not to use that secret door. You're dead anyway, because there's no other way out.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that was once that portcullis dropped, which did feel like a kind of doom moment, didn't it? I just didn't appreciate that once it dropped, there was literally no way out.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's interesting. It's interesting that rather than just making that your out, you were given, a little bit extra in the book. There was more story to walk you through, to walk you through your death, or at least you had a choice in your death.
Mm.
Yeah, an interesting way to do it. Pad things out a little bit rather than just it ends here after the portcullis dropped, because it might as well have done, to be fair. But we got some more depth, to the dungeon or wherever it is we are,
Indeed.
and a bit more story and feeling, and yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
and I'm genuinely curious about the secret language. I may have to work out how to decode that just so that I have that, off my plate, so to speak.
Yeah, I just want to find a list of. There's got to be somewhere on the internet where someone's typed them all out, and I can just
There
stare
has
at
to
them in
be,
their
yes.
entirety without any other information or flicking between paragraphs.
Yeah, and
But I shall have a look.
I mean, I assume it's got to be something fairly simple, a simple substitution cipher or something, because, I mean, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just literally random gibberish, and it's itself a trick.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the 337 that you can turn to at any time. The book that we found right at the very
Yeah,
beginning. makes it feel like that there should be something to it, but might not be. It might just be an extra couple of pages on the 35-page intro,
Yeah, it could be.
potentially.
Um,
Right. It might be a code, it might be something, but it might not be pertinent to the completion of the book,
yes,
which again would be really interesting.
I mean, I'm obviously not going to type it in, partly because it's a lot of it, but also because it's there's multiple instances of this text appearing. But if you can see this at all, what this looks like, it looks vaguely like very badly constructed Welsh,
Mm.
and it's not intrinsically helpful. So, but it turns up all the time. It's, by the way, just that's on paragraph 337. In case you ever find yourself on paragraph 336, the one that finishes at the top of that page, it doesn't have an end either. It's an instant death. The, the
Good to know.
the amazing thing is that curse, which cheerfully ruined all of our stats and made us incredibly vulnerable, turned out
Mm.
not to be a threat at all, because everything after that was an instant death, not a combat death.
That's true. There was no. Was there combat? There might have been,
The
but
only
certainly
thing we
not.
had after that really was the two fireballs that stripped us of 4 stamina briefly.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Everything else was just an instant kill with no other way out of it. Yeah. So it was narratively killed rather than combat killed. Yeah. It was, however, enormous fun. So
Mm.
though I feel Steve Jackson may have been a little cruel with this one, especially for those of us who I know are not the target market, who intended to try to do it without having to, do it again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He gave a lot of opportunities for you to fail that particular route.
It felt like it may have been cruel, but it was really interesting.
It was. I was genuinely fascinated by
Um.
the fact that we might actually be the Creature of Havoc in the title.
Yes. Yeah. That was good as well. There's lots of alluding
Yeah.
to our
And
scaly
when it
skin and
began,
whatnot.
you had to roll dice to determine what you did because you weren't fully in control of yourself.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if we were in fact originally human but had been cursed into some kind of monster.
Yes, I figured that may be the case. Only going off of the rather long intro.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt that made it more likely, but
Yes, Tales of
hey.
Trolltooth Pass, the sort of legends were called. Um,
Hmm.
which,
But yeah, I'll definitely look into this one.
yeah, it was a very interesting book actually. This, despite the massive fatality rate, which it's not just the fact that it killed us multiple times. That's our own fault for keeping to play after it killed us the first time. But
Yeah, yeah.
but the I just found another one that's instant death, and the next one, and the next one. Literally 3 paragraphs next to each other are all. This is where you die. This is where you die. This is where you die. It's
Uh,
amazing.
maybe there were ways to. Maybe they just don't have another turn to because there were ways to complete the game.
Yes, yeah, they're not. They contain things like digest you at its leisure and slowly dissolve, things like that.
Well, who are we to say what's winning?
Yes,
Clearly, we have very little experience.
you're absolutely right. We it was absolutely true when we did Blood Feud of Altheus. I kind of got to the end of that paragraph and then had to read it again because I assumed we'd died. I have so little
Yes,
experience of reading the actual victory paragraphs.
indeed,
Yes,
indeed.
fantastic. Well, Not entirely successful, it has to be said, but Creature of Havoc, enormous fun. Genuinely enormous fun.
Thoroughly entertaining.
It it is one of the ones that I'm seriously tempted to have another go at on my own. Just see if I can find a way through it, because
Yeah,
it's a it's a really gripping story once you get into it.
definitely.
So yes, an excellent job. Thank you, Steve Jackson. And
Mm.
also thanks, Steve Jackson, in
Yeah,
every possible sense of the term. And thank you to Ewan, and thank you to everybody who stopped along and said hi and lurked and watches on VOD. Thank you so much. It's greatly
indeed.
appreciated. I hope you had some fun.
And thank you, Ben.
Oh, you're welcome.
I had a lot of fun.
Yes, I did. I thought it was a good one.
A different kind of fun this week to the last time we played it, but still fun.
Yeah. Yes. And it was, again, just like Blood Feud of Altheus set a record for us, so did this.
Yes.
Th- th-
Yeah. I think it's
This was a record-breaking book. It is every single time, apart from Blood Feud of Altheus, we've died exactly once. This time, 3 times. Very quickly.
yeah.
So, so yes, excellent. Thank you very much, sir. And I will bid you good night and see you for some more gaming tomorrow night at 11 o'clock.
Indeed. We're back with Orbital Blues.
We are.
We are playing through an adventure from Soul Muppet's own new Kickstarter, which I believe is now closed. So maybe it's not that new. Of 6 adventures. So if you're interested into what's in the book, stop by and watch our second outing.
Yeah.
In the town of Nameless. I keep wanting to say nowhere, but it's not nowhere. It's Nameless.
Nameless. I thought the setting was really good for the first section. So
Really good.
So I'm quite excited to see where this one goes tomorrow. I think it'll be good.
It feels really spaghetti western.
Yeah, it does, and it's Orbital Blues, which is a really good system, and it's really kind of Soul Muppet to let us have a go at this adventure. So thank you to them in advance for tomorrow night, and thank you to Luke in advance for running it for us and for being not as cruel as he could be in chat, just a little bit cruel, but not really cruel. So yes, thank you very much, Ewan. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, man.
And good night.
Good night.